This podcast is brought to you by the Handshake Agency Network.
Well, Jordi and Scarlett from San Cisco, thank you so much for coming on the Green Room today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's awesome. I mean, I know it's not a very usual time at the moment. We thought that this COVID stuff was a little bit behind us. It is obviously still going on, but we can be in person, which is a bit of a rarity for me, and hopefully, you know, we can just have a nice time and it's not too awkward being in person. But tell me, obviously you are on the road right now. You're just christening Between You and Me, your beautiful new album. But before we get into all of that and what you actually got going on right now, I kind of am interested to dive into the 2021 San Cisco sound. I have to read this because I had to write it down of what you guys had originally described your vibe as. Squelchy, crispy, streamlined, hairy indie. Is that still what we're thinking San Cisco is in 2021?
No, thank God. We've grown a lot since then.
Yeah.
When was that? That would have been like 2010.
Early days. And that's like well over a decade ago. How are we feeling in 2021, not just from a stylistic perspective, but...
I think I mean, probably a lot of bands and artists say this, but it is so hard to like step back from your own sound and critique it and come up with describing words for it. That's probably why we said all those words.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, it's such cop out, but I think we've probably matured a bit in our sound. But yeah, I think back when we were doing that sort of thing, it was very lo-fi, and that was kind of like our, you know, we were recording everything live, and yeah, our vibe was very much lo-fi, and then
more loose.
Yeah, and then as we've sort of gone on, we've changed the way that we recorded music, and which also meant that we could be a lot more like, I don't know, specific, or like a lot more controlled and calculated in the way that we were doing things.
Yeah, and I think that is actually quite obvious on Between You and Me. I mean, obviously a lot of that shiny innocence and all of that you guys kind of have is there, but there is just that noted, I don't want to say glow up, it's literally a grow up, like thematically, like the subject matter is noticeably a little bit heavier. You are dealing with this, but you still do maintain that, you know, gloss and that shimmer that you guys are kind of noted for. So it's definitely obvious from the outside perspective. So it's nice to know that that is happening on the inside. And was that a significant thing you guys are aiming for as you do progress in your career? I mean, is this just naturally how you've evolved, or have you guys actively sought to tap out of the lo-fi stuff, get more into this polished? Like, is there a physical pathway that you guys are chasing with San Cisco?
I think we, when we sat down and spoke about making this record, we all agreed we wanted to do something next level and something that we would listen to and something we would be really proud of. And I think we've definitely achieved that. But sound-wise, I think we also just, we're all listening to different music, and all those influences feed back into the sound.
Yeah.
And I think this record, Between You and Me, is probably a time in our lives as a band where Josh, Scarlett and I have been like the most aligned in our vision of what we want it to be and how we want it to be. Whereas I feel like in the past it has very much been like, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but just lots of different ideas, and it kind of gets pushed and pulled, and that's how like the shape of it's created. Whereas this was very much like we're all like knew kind of where we were going and what we wanted to do.
Yeah. And I know it is different in that respect from previous times, but also how and when you released it was very different compared to previous times. Talk me through releasing an album in a pandemic.
Yeah, so we released it at the start of September, and in the thick of COVID, but we're so lucky in WA that there weren't many restrictions, and we did get to tour it, and it didn't stop us in our tracks as much as it would have if we lived anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty surreal experience as well, just being in this bubble. But yeah, I think it was hard because, not only was it pandemic, there's, huge human rights movement and with Black Lives Matter, and felt almost like, what are we doing releasing like a pop album when the world is like very broken right now. But
and it was just after all the fires in Australia.
Yeah.
And it just is weird.
It's a weird time.
But, and we talked about it a lot, like whether we should sit on it for longer or, what do we do? And there's nothing you can look back on and be like, well, this is what they did last time this happened. So we just went ahead and released it, which I think, I don't know, I guess we'll never know if it was the right or the wrong thing to do.
Yeah. I guess on that note though, I don't know for you guys because you are the ones creating it, but as a listener, like given what we're all going through, sometimes having art to connect with and to respond to that is not predominantly always positive, but has a lot of reality and has some really beautiful moments. I mean, maybe it's exactly what we all needed. And,
And I think like pop music is joy and people need joy.
Absolutely.
And people are also at home just, with a lot of time on their hands and that's like a perfect way to like consume an album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned in WA, obviously, you had a little bit more of an annex. You had your shit together a bit more than some of the other states did. And I think what was awesome is you guys actually captured the moment when you could all see each other for the first time after isolation and, all of that craziness for a music video.
Yeah.
Like, how was that feeling? Did it feel like regular? Did it feel right? Or did it feel really alien and a bit weird?
No, it felt great.
I felt a bit weird.
Geordie had been living like 3 hours away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was
Not in a caravan, but we put that spin on it for the video clip. But in a shed in Gracetown.
Yeah, and I was just out there with my partner and then I was like, well, it looks like we're going to be out here for a couple more months, and then just got the phone call like, you got to come shoot a video clip next weekend.
Just roll up in your caravan, like dust blazing in the background.
And we did it, and I was like, wow, it's weird. And because I like live with Josh usually, and I remember like the first night back in the house, and he was like, it's so weird having you here in our house because I haven't been there for so long.
Yeah.
And I think it was like I loved it, but definitely weird.
Forget how to speak to people.
Yeah.
The first like few outings, even though our lockdown was only like 2 and a bit months or something.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just a month.
It feels longer. I had 2 weeks at Christmas and I was like, it's been 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, coming out of that, I think I went to like a street party, porch fest, where people play on each other's porches.
Cute.
And I was just like, get me out of here. I don't know how to have a conversation anymore.
It's
Put
like,
me back inside.
It's like after like the 40-minute Zoom time has run out. It's like, okay, I can't talk. I'm just going to leave. Just walk away from the conversation. Yeah. Well, and it's awesome too. I mean, obviously, as I said, we can be in the flesh right now. And part of that is you guys are on the road. You're taking this beautiful album on tour. How has it been to actually, I know you were able to play at home. I know you guys, like so many people, had an international tour on the cards, and that was a really bleak reality with all of it. But how does it feel to be able to come out of your home state and actually take this a little bit further afield and connect with your fans in a bit of a broader setting?
It feels amazing. The show at the Enmore on Friday night was really special. And that was kind of like in and amongst all this stuff, a pinch me moment, because you could play to like 1,000 people and it felt like a real rock concert.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
But we've had 2 shows on the Gold Coast before that, so that they were also really fun.
Yeah.
And I think those regional gigs are... Is Gold Coast regional?
I'm from the Gold Coast, and I didn't realise till I left it's regional. Yeah. So I'm a regional person, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And those gigs are really fun as well. So I think everyone's just pumped to see live music again. And we went to this open mic night.
Yes.
That was really funny.
What went down there?
Just some crazy covers and, so many characters in this like little bar.
Yeah, we'd just flown in. That's kind of what I miss from it, is like just being on tour and sort of the weird shit that happens to you when you're on tour. We flew in and we were so hungry, and the only place open was this like little bar.
Yeah.
And they had great burgers, and there was this house band playing, and people would just kind of get up and play a few songs, and it was all great, and everyone was just like having a good time.
Yeah.
And then we went home, and
It
I was
was
like, hey, that's what it's like to be on tour.
It was like the CBGBs of the Gold Coast.
Yes. Is this Eddie's?
Yeah.
Is that, yeah, I actually went there last weekend. Someone was like singing Living on a Prayer. I was like, I found my home. I'm with my people.
Yeah, that was lovely.
Yeah, and very good burgers. Although I did have to unhinge my jaw to eat one, so
Yeah.
that was very, very
Mine
glamorous
just
for
like
me.
disintegrated.
Yeah,
and I
you
gave
were
up.
like, how do I eat this? was
I
like,
just
"Come
yelled,
on,
look
you-"
away, look away. And I find that interesting on the note of touring, because I've read you guys speak in the past about how a little bit earlier on you did kind of find that you kind of shedded the novelty of like, you know, getting crazy loose on tour and like doing all that fun stuff. Like, do you find, how do you keep your sanity? How do you keep level and get through the tour in normal settings? I know this time around has been a little bit up and down, but how do you maintain sanity? And
It's a really good question.
I think we're going to have to relearn it.
Yeah.
I think it's been so long that, like, I don't really know what to do on tour now. Like I was
You were
saying,
surfing. You got to.
I was fine for the first few
Yeah.
days because I could just surf the whole time. But I don't know, like right now, I was just talking to Scarlett. She was like, oh, there's this thing going on like tonight and another something else. And I was like, I can't do it. I don't know if I can. Whereas I feel like I used to be like, yeah, sure, let's go out and do that. But I've just like had one night out and I was like, I'm ready to just chill out now for the
You
next
have
week.
to be really like careful with your energy, I guess.
You do. You got to be very
Selective.
strategic.
And it's fashion week in Sydney.
oh, girls.
And we went to a couple of things on Monday.
That was draining.
And
Yeah.
it was so draining. And I mean, obviously it's such a privilege to go out, be out and about in Sydney and not be in lockdown and fashion stuff's just fun. But it was actually like quite you know, running around. And then after those 4 shows I was like, I just need to go home. And
You've been going
Have a nap.
hard though.
yeah.
She's had like photo shoots and meetings
Yep.
and I just did one thing.
Rocked up to Fashion Week, tick.
Yeah. Went to first fashion
So
show.
funny.
Yes.
Geordie
Done.
was like, Geordie had like primo position at the basic
Were you
show.
front row? Were you there in the front row?
There was like 3 rows.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I walked in late, couldn't get a seat, and Geordie was just sitting there like watching the show go down, looking
like nodding.
very chic, and I was like, "You bitch,
This is amazing. And
Maybe
you've been
I'm the
calling.
fashion
Yes.
head.
you're the real
The
fashion
new
head.
calling. I love it.
I'm retiring. You
Yeah.
can take over."
You've taken the mantle,
I
the
need to start
fashion
taking-
mantle.
Yeah, night classes with Scarlett.
Yes.
Fashion.
I love this. Well, I look forward to more of that. Hopefully some covers on the radar for you down the track.
Yeah,
Styled by Scarlett, of course.
Yeah.
yeah. I'll just be your stylist.
And tell me, I know this tour is a little bit different to others as we've talked about as well, but for both of you, is there one item, like non-negotiable must-have, that always makes the suitcase when you go on tour that you absolutely can't live without? Or has it changed since COVID's hit you? You've reevaluated things?
I just don't know how to pack anymore.
Me either.
I packed so much stuff, but I have needed it. We will need it because we have to stay in Sydney longer than
Yes.
expected. But I don't know. Probably a neck pillow, which I didn't bring this time,
You never bring a neck pillow.
but I have in the past,
Okay.
and it was great while it lasted. And a water bottle. I didn't bring a water bottle this trip.
Yeah.
I reckon the earplugs that I use on the plane, because like iPhone earplugs don't, I mean, you know, like headphones.
Yeah.
Because the iPhone ones don't work and these ones kind of fit in my ear so I can still sleep. So when I've gotten on before and forgotten them, it's just like, what do I do now for the
Yeah.
next? Not having something on the plane is hell.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
it actually is torture.
You're all right though, because
I just
you sleep.
How? I like, it's like
Like
the
this.
most awake. As soon as the plane takes off, I'm like, I'm up. Where are we? What are we doing?
I do the head banging thing. People have like strangers have woken me up before and been like,
Have you
"Your
ever
neck."
done the cheeky, like accidentally gone onto the shoulder thing?
Probably.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I'm pretty good on the plane. Like I'll
You just read a bit and then you sleep.
Yeah, I'm reading Lord of the Rings at the moment.
Oh, hell yes.
Really?
From the
Yeah.
start?
I read The Hobbit
Yes.
last tour,
Yeah,
and now I'm
nice.
on to the first of the trilogy.
Hell yes. I think you might just be my soulmate after all. This is exciting.
Well, I don't read that much fantasy.
Yeah.
But it is such a nice like escape from reality.
And probably
like,
the rare times you can actually do something like that uninterrupted.
Yeah. And it's a really good, I love reading on tour. That's like when I do most of my reading.
Yeah.
But I think it's good for anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Reading fantasy. Because you're just like submerging yourself in a completely different world.
Absolutely.
Like, it could be worse. There could be fucking dragons here.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
All right, maybe I'll give that a shot.
There you go.
Makes you really grateful.
Really grateful.
I feel like he's just going to start usurping all of your interests. Like by the end of it, I'm not going to be able to tell who's who. This is going to be great. And tell me with the tour too, like you guys are expanding, you're playing with a 5-piece, I believe, on tour at the moment.
Yep.
How has that been in your, resurgence back to live shows?
Oh, it's so good. I'm really into it.
We've got Mitch on bass and James, my boyfriend, on keys.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the best lineup. I don't know, everyone's just really pumped on stage and it's like, it feels like it's a real rock show now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Like, James is an incredible keyboard player and he plays different stuff every time.
Nice.
And it kind of like, I don't know, it's just added this extra layer to what's going on that just, I don't know. And also because like there's more drummers on tour now than ever because James plays drums in Pond and Mitch is actually a drummer. He's just like learned how to play bass for the
this
band.
gig.
And
That's
so,
awesome.
So they all just like cycle through playing drums and they'll like, when like a rhythmic issue will come up or something, they're all just like talking about it.
Oh, I love that.
And it's,
I think there's too many drummers.
yeah.
It sounds like your
There
band
probably
drum
is
fest.
too many drummers.
And our tech is a drummer as well.
Oh, God.
So
So, yeah, San Cisco featuring
We
all the drummers.
we should do a drum clinic while we're in Sydney.
You know, there's like big, amazing Japanese, like I think it's taiko drums or something. You guys should like, just feature some of that. Just to take a load off and let them do that for a song.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it means, and also, we're doing more with like Ableton and stuff now for our live shows, and we're just able to kind of like come up with an idea and just make it all happen, and everyone that's there can just like do it as well.
Yeah.
Because like today we've got to do a performance to Savo, and Josh has a cold, so he's not going to come, but now we have James. There's going to be enough instruments for us to still do a song. And James can just be like, I'll do his guitar part with this hand and I'll do my chords with that hand.
Yeah, we've never had a keys player in the live.
Yeah.
Live shows.
None of us are very good at playing keys.
That's
Speak for yourself. I'm actually, I like learnt piano through high school and childhood, and I still don't have anything to show for it.
Yeah, same.
I can play like the chords, but then someone's like, play this song. I'm like, no, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, I'll play a C and an F and a G, and we've got a little song going.
I learnt like classical,
Oh, proper.
but I only did like preliminary.
Yeah.
I only got up to preliminary AMEB and then tapped out.
Yeah.
It's too hard.
But I feel like you've got a few other things going on, so I feel like you're doing okay.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to be too much of an overachiever. And tell me, with playing the new songs like outside of your home state as well, like do you think the fact that fans have had a little bit more time to digest the album and get more familiar with it, has that meant that they've been like, obviously diehard fans would have devoured it no matter what, but have people been able to kind of enjoy them because they're a little bit more familiar for it? Like how have the fans been reacting to it?
I think they're hungry for it to hear them live. Like Reasons goes off.
Yeah.
And that's, because we haven't been able to see what the reaction is to that live. And that's just like, we could never have predicted how much it would go off in a live setting.
I think,
great.
yeah, it would have been interesting to see Reasons before it got in the Hottest 100 and seeing it after.
Yeah.
But I feel like, that song was always going to be a bit of a banger.
Yeah.
And Flaws.
Yeah, and Flaws.
Hearing people sing along to Flaws, and that's like such a slow, ballady one.
That's a bit more of a slow burn, I reckon. That one, I think, because it's been out for a while,
Yes.
people get around it more and more.
Yeah. Well, on the topic of flaws, am I correct that that song was actually, it was done a fair while ago and it didn't actually make the cut for the water at the time? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So
I don't remember Jordi. Jordi reckons he showed it to me.
Yeah. What do you reckon?
Usually when I
made
show
it more
Scarlett
noticeable?
songs,
Yeah.
it just like shuts off.
It was probably just like a verse and a...
Yeah.
No, it was a whole song.
It was
No,
finished.
and then you had 5 years to make it perfect.
It was a whole song, and I played it for ages. But it wouldn't have fit on the water.
No.
And I
See?
think
I knew.
but it was also our producer. I showed him, and he was like, whatever. And then it wasn't until we were like in Mullumbimby recording towards the very end of doing this record, and I was like, can we please try this song that I've been trying to get on the record? And I was like, sure, right, is it finished? I was like, yeah, it's been finished for ages.
5 years.
And we just recorded it, and it was done. I was like, okay, well, that's another one. So then what else should we do? And I think it just slowly like grew on Scarlett, because I used to play it after.
Yeah.
I used to play it as like the last song of the set, and she was just like, what did you say? I sounded like angry singing. Like, I don't like it.
But I love the way it's recorded. It sounds great. And we tweaked. What did you have? You had a lyric, and I was like, oh, you had I'm like Peter Pan. And I was like, just say you're Peter Pan.
Cut to the chase. That's
But
not the only song.
it was a finished song.
Yeah.
Like, it was perfect.
Just needed that one little tweak.
I just needed to force it into Scarlett's life, and then she liked it.
Well, and I believe that's not the only one that was already in the works. Like the title track itself had been on the go for a couple of years, I've read. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's another
Jordi
gem.
Yep.
Yeah, that was another one that they're all songs that like I wrote just after I broke up with my first love, and which coincided with the recording of The Water, which also coincided with me being a bit of a, I don't know, party boy, like destructive, ruined my voice, and had to get vocal surgery, and I was like not really in a good way for the making of The Water, which is probably contributed to why none of those songs really got completed, because I was like, I don't know,
You're just being
my head wasn't in the game like it should have been.
Yep.
a young person.
A youth.
Reckless youth.
Wayward
youth. I mean, you guys are obviously still in age so young, but you have been in the industry for so long, and you have publicly grown up in this industry. I mean, as we touched on right at the start, there is still that, beautiful innocence that comes through in that beautiful pop sensibilities you guys have, but there is a lot of deeper themes and subject matter going on. Do you guys feel like, obviously so much has changed in that time, has anything stayed the same for you given how long you've been here now? Because obviously we know streaming, social media, all of that, like it's so obvious what has changed the most. What's actually changed the least for you guys since San Cisco's been in existence?
I guess, our friendship has strengthened, I'd say.
Yeah, I think I still annoy Scarlett as much as I used to. Like to think I do. Consistency.
I guess the connection to fans through like performance, and that's always been something that we valued and never really taken for granted. Maybe back in the day, I think back in the day, we've talked about this a bit, but we were just so young, and it was just sort of, life was just sort of happening to us, and we didn't know how lucky we were. Not that we weren't grateful, but it was just a bit of a whirlwind.
Yeah.
From Awkward getting released and then like getting thrown into touring the world. And it's nice to like, with a bit of hindsight, reflect and be like, oh, we're so lucky we got those opportunities. And now, I think, just more mature. But the industry's changed so much, and I think it's changed a lot for the better.
Yeah. That's really awesome to hear, actually. It's not always what people will say, and that's really, really refreshing to hear. And I'm happy that that's the case for you guys.
I mean, there's obviously still stuff that needs to be done. But, I feel pretty positive about being a woman in music now. And wasn't always so easy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like you don't get asked those annoying questions as much anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. But I can understand
What's it
why
like being the
people,
only girl in the band?
I can understand why people ask those questions. I think it's important to talk about it. But yeah, sometimes you might not be in the mood or like yeah.
It shouldn't be the point of the interview.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Yeah, that's fantastic. I guess, yeah, there are positive things to take out of it. And even though it is all still a few roads ahead, I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, I know you guys kind of started off in high school. There's been a lot, and I really liked you said earlier a pinch me moment because you actually stole one of my questions.
Oh.
But I guess after all this time, as you said, you've toured the world, you've had so many achievements in it quite, even though it's been a long time, like quite rapidly, you had this huge trajectory. Even now, aside from the pinch me moment you already mentioned, like, do you step back and just have those moments? Like, are there still, what are the key moments that really just make you realize, like, this is amazing, this is my dream, like, we're doing this still? Like, what snaps you into that?
I think COVID's definitely made like us appreciate our job a lot more. Yeah, I think that when you can go and when you can release, I guess when you can release a song and you can be looking at it on Spotify and you can see thousands of people actually listening to it.
And you love the Spotify stats.
I love the
Love a
Spotify
stats.
stats.
I love stats too.
I love a stat.
It's so cool. I love stats.
I'm so bad with numbers. I'm like, oh, cool.
Well,
Yeah.
I think I don't know, always for me, the whole like writing music thing has been like to connect with people or to like give someone something. Like I don't really do it to like fulfill, I don't know, an idea that I have, and then if other people enjoy it, that's cool. I've always done it to sort of, because I'm more of a performer than an artist, I reckon. Yeah. And so...
No, you're an artist. Don't.
Well, I don't know. It's a theory that I've been working on.
Yep.
Where there's like, you have like the artist and the performer.
Like it's
and
quite
like,
a selfless thing that you're doing.
Yeah, I'm a very selfless person.
So selfless.
But
I'm just doing it for the people.
I'm somewhere up towards the performer. Like I wouldn't have fun just like writing songs and playing to them myself in my room and recording them and like, you know, being like, oh yeah, but like I did this to it and I love that. And like, I'm more about want to write a song that people listen to and be like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
And then singing it along.
Yeah.
But I forgot where I was going with it.
No, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah?
No, it does. And that's the thing. It's sort of like, you know, those pinch moments for a lot of people would be like, what can I brag about? How can I big note myself? Whereas it's very pure. You're coming from a very pure place with that.
Yeah, I guess that's the pinch me thing is you release a song and people actually listen to it.
Yep.
Like we have a platform that we've built, I guess, over 10 years. So fair enough. But like it works. But then also you think about all the people that have been doing it for 20 years and it's not happening.
Yeah.
And but it should be because like they're also extremely skilled and like great at what they do. So yeah, I think that's a big pinch me moment.
Yeah. I think also pre-COVID when we did a US tour and we got to play at Summer Stage in Central Park.
Wow.
That was through Sounds Australia. But that was amazing. Such a cool spot to play a gig.
Yeah, that's pretty damn awesome. And I no doubt there will be so many huge things ahead. Like obviously there's a little bit of time before international's back on the cards, but so lucky that we can have, some of us can have you come and gift this incredible album around Australia in your home territory, and we'll hang on to you for as long as we can. Aww. But congratulations on such a great album. Fingers crossed for the rest of the tour, and just, so excited to see what continues to happen for San Cisco.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining me, guys.
Oh, good.
Lovely.
Yay.
The Green Room with Tiana Speter is a podcast from the Handshake Agency Network, produced by Tiana Speter and Andrew Mast, with Pharrell D'Souza and Henry Gibson providing research. Recorded and engineered by Zig Parker, executive producer Craig Treweek.